So this is almost it, but there's just two more things. So first of all, how do you create outputs? And what you do is you open a file for output, and this is how it's done here. You don't need to remember it, but if you need it, you can just copy and paste it. For example, open, and I have to use a unit name, a number that identifies my output. I call it 10. You might call it 33 or 99. Okay, but anyway, I call it 10, and I associate a file name with it. It's file equals, and then this is how I call it, x18.txt. Okay, and I say I want formatted output. These are ASCII numbers, and I have to specify the format or your standard format or so. And then I can say status unknown or known, so it might create an error message if you say known. I think the options are unknown, new, or old. And then you can get an error message if there's some inconsistency. And then you can produce an output. For example, within your Fortran code, you can say write, and then in brackets 10 comma star, and 10 means write into the file that is open called x1a.txt. Use a standard format, so don't worry about how many digits it's just the internal standard format, it's the star. Okay. Or it's actually like it's the times symbol here, and then G. And the value of G will be written into that file. And then in the next line will be written the next write statement, write 10 point star. And here you can, for example, write 3 selected elements of this eta array. For example, here the 10th, the 20th, and the 30th. Or you can write the entire, all values, okay, of this eta array, okay? And this is how you do it within one line. This is how you can write it. Write all elements, standard format, start k equals 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, until you reach an x. So it writes a full line of numbers into that file. And if you no longer need this file, you close it. Close 10. This is how it's done. Okay? And just what do you do if you have very, very big codes? Okay, very large computer codes, like 50 pages of computer code. So what is usually the best approach, instead of writing it all in one big computer code, is the so-called modular scripting. Okay, so instead of putting it all into one file, you can actually put it into 3 different files. And this is how I decided for myself to write Fortran codes. Okay, I have the main code, the main program, which is in this example called file 1.f95. Okay, it has a program, it's called main, okay, and program name, and it makes use of so-called modules. So, for example, by typing use declar, okay, it actually makes use of something which is formulated in file 2.f95. This is module declar, end module declar. Okay, and by the use with the use statements, it actually becomes embedded in the main program. Okay? And whatever is done inside the module is done in the main program. So this, what it actually has is just all the declarations. That's why it's called declar. Declarations, and for example, it declares G as a constant, and it says, oh, I want to use these decimal real variables called x and y. And then I have another module called calculations. And it also uses declar, okay, because it needs access to these x and y variable. Okay? And this contains a subroutine. One subroutine called init and another subroutine called squareSum. Subroutines are also separate units of calculation, subroutines that can be called within other parts of your script. For example, in the main program, I call init. Call init, calls the subroutine and does what's written in the subroutine. It also says call squareSum. It calls this subroutine here, okay, and does what is done here in this subroutine. Okay, and then I produce an output to the screen. Okay? It doesn't really make much sense what's done here, but just to give you an illustration of modular Fortran scripting and how you compile these type of multiple files is written here next to me. Okay, so you open the command prompt and you compile first the modules, and this is done with that command of -c. And then afterwards you have to link the modules, files which are called .o. You have to link this with the main program. Anyway, so when you just look it up once you need this, okay? Okay, so this is the very, very quick introduction to Fortran. It gets confusing, but I'd say it again. Fortran only has very, very basic and only few specific commands that you actually use. And the key point is that programs start at the top and then are worked through line by line. That's what the compiler does.